The SOK battery comes with a very nice app. It will let you know the state of charge of the battery, and it will let you know the voltage on each one of the cells inside. Really nice app. What I've got set up here is a load tester. I want to test this battery and be sure that I'm actually getting the 280 amp hours that's advertised on the front of the battery. I recommend you purchase one of these and do this with any battery that you purchase. Make sure you're actually getting what you're paying for. This is a really simple test. It's very easy to set up. It may look complicated, but it's really not. So first I plug in the load tester and it comes on. I've already got it set up and I've got it testing right now. It reads 13.5 volts and it's pulling 9.1 amps. So we're going to increase this because I'd like to pull exactly 10 amps if I can. There we go. 13.4 volts at 10 amps. I got it set at 10 amps because I know since it's a 280 amp hour battery, it should take about 28 hours to discharge completely. And discharging at a slow rate should give me a more accurate reading. And all this is really doing is dissipating all the power and energy in the battery as heat. And that's why you see this fan spinning here, dissipating the heat off the heatsink. And after the 28 hours is over, we'll have a readout right here that will tell us what the amp hours will be. So that's what we're going to let it do. We're going to let it sit here and dissipate this down until the BMS shuts itself off. While we're load testing the battery, let's take a look at the app. The app shows that the state of charge is 100%, that it will enable charging and discharging. When these are both green, you know that the BMS will allow the battery to be charged or discharged. The current voltage is 13.38 volts. It's discharging at 10.42 amps because I've got it on the load tester right now. The app has calculated the capacity at 285.71 amp hours. Now, even the manual says this may not be accurate until it cycles the battery a few times. It shows the cycle time and the protection state. Now, the protection state is when the BMS is in protection mode. That slider goes to green. That means there's been something happening, too much voltage charging, too much voltage discharging, or current discharging. The BMS will protect those cells. This battery has a built-in heating pad inside, and it will tell you the heating status. If you're in a cold environment, this will flip on green to let you know that that heating pad is on. This is the temperature of the cells. It's 80 degrees Fahrenheit. I've got this on Fahrenheit. You can switch it to Celsius if you wish. That's the version. And it shows the voltage max and the voltage minimum. What's really nice is it actually shows you in the app the voltage of each one of these cells to show you that they're properly balanced. Now, if you go into basic settings, there is one place that you might want to change something, and that's the sleep time value. That's the time of inactivity where there's no charge or discharge before the BMS enters sleep state. When it goes into sleep state, the Bluetooth stops broadcasting to save power. And to recover from that sleep, you have to charge or discharge the battery. So you can click on this and change that for a longer period of time. Now down here, there are 4 different functions. Storage puts the battery into a low power state so that it doesn't drain if you're storing it for a long period of time. Recovery forces the battery from an overcurrent protection state If the BMS shut down from an overcurrent and recovery is impossible, this would force the BMS into a recovery mode. Reboot reboots the BMS, and reset resets the parameters to their default values. But it says in the manual that that is not necessary because all the values are set at the factory. The load test is complete. The BMS shut the battery off, and as you can see, the results are really good. The battery yielded 298.31 amp hours. 298, and it only advertises 280 amp hours. So that's a really good result. And it took 29 hours and 41 minutes. Remember we did 10 amps? So this 29 hours makes sense because it was 280 amp hours at 10 amps. It should have been 28 hours. So all of this is really logical. It makes sense, and it proves that right now this is a really good battery. Right now I've got the battery charging, and it is charging at 94 amps. Currently we're at 11.6 volts. And if we move this up, you can see the voltage of each cell. And they're staying very close to being perfectly balanced. So we're only at 1% right now, but charging at 94.45 amps.